Hey guys, Sorka, welcome back to the letter. We've reached the end. We've burned the house down. Takako can go for Kako herself. Let's find out what happened to the characters, shall we? But first, one last journal entry. Let's go check it out. Once I flip through all these pages, I've had so much fun with this game, and we finally made it to the end. It's been a long journey, but a fun and enjoyable one, indeed. Despite initial protests, Luke agreed with Isabella Santos. He began dousing the place with alcohol and setting it on fire. Sure enough, as flames slowly engulfed the place, it returned to its original state, freeing them. Outside, at the first light of dawn, the mansion burned to the ground before their eyes. It's over. Not everyone made it in my playthrough, but here is my epilogue nonetheless. Here we go. Like the flames that engulfed the mansion that night, whispers quickly spread across Luxbourne City after the incident. Officers who investigated it have simply deemed it an unfortunate accident. Regardless of the truth, Luke Wright files criminal charges against Briar Realty Corporation after, for undisclosed reasons to the public, forcing the latter to declare bankruptcy. A move that has merely stoked the rumours further. But for those who still believe in the stories of the old, and those who know the truth, it is but a testament to the curse and the secrets the Ermengarde Mansion has hidden for centuries. If there will come a time those will finally be revealed, only the ashes of the now ruined mansion know. However, on nights when the wind howls and thunder booms across the sky, some still claim hearing of voices where it once stood, of cries and wails that fill the nights and desperate calls of help for anyone who dares listen. As for those who once tread its halls, unable to settle their differences, Hannah Wright eventually files for a divorce from Luke Wright. For several months they've become the subject of gossips in the mass media in the city. In spite of this, the two have uncharacteristically remained tight-lipped on the circumstances of their separation, though many assumed it's the inevitable falling out stemming from the trouble during the couple's housewarming party. To everyone's surprise, however, Luke Wright quietly accepts the court's decision and disappears from the Evans heiress life without creating much fuss. Even after Hannah Evans has given birth to their children months later, the man is rarely seen around the family, merely leaving his children poultry gifts in the mailbox whenever he's in town, never showing his face. With the Wright couple's separation also comes the Wright Evans conglomerate split up. Although the Wright enterprise still manages to do well in the business with Evans Incorporated back as a competitor, other tech leak places its CEO and the company under legal spotlight months later. This time, however, with the then Chief Inspector Harvey Lee's sudden absence, the businessman isn't able to escape close scrutiny. In an investigation headed by LPD's Detective Inspector Ashton Frey, all of Wright Enterprises' illegal activities within the past 10 years come to light. Although his involvement with other crimes is still being investigated, the disclosure has caused a huge outcry, especially from the city's business sector. Sued on multiple grounds, the company is ultimately forced to shut down. Oddly, when Luke Wright steps out of his office one last time, there's only a small smile on his face. To avoid public outrage, the once affluent businessman immediately leaves the city. All of his bank accounts have been emptied, including his Luxbourne apartments, leaving not a single trace or clue where he might be hiding. The last anyone has seen of the man was on a flight bound for Ireland. Till this day, no one has heard from him. Not even Hannah Evans. Even his people from the old Wright enterprise, who have all been left to deal with the aftermath. Though, over the past few months after the situation has calmed, some have made claims of spotting him flitting in and out of the city, if only to check on those he has left behind. Following the company split, Hannah Evans reestablishes Evans Incorporated, becoming its CEO like her late father has always wanted for her. Though a bit out of practice and doubted by many people at first, the Evans heiress quickly finds her bearings and proves to be every bit as talented as in the business as her parents. Soon, under her management, the new Evans Inc. flourishes, becoming one of the prime investment and finance companies in Luxbourne City. Months after her recovery, Marianne McCullough heads back to her homeland, ready to close a chapter of a past she has left hanging for so long. There she visits Lorraine's grave, asking for forgiveness from the girl she once loved, something she has intentionally avoided for years. Although the terror of what she has witnessed inside the Ermengarde Mansion still clings to her, she bravely chooses to move on from it, turning a new leaf by focusing on a new branch of her interior design company, and leaving her interior design company at Luxbourne in the hands of her secretary instead. Although she never returns to the city after, she is frequently seen visiting to check on the people she has become acquainted with in her years there. Having finally accepted herself, she won't deny she's in a happier place now. By some stroke of luck, or an unfortunate circumstance of fate, Marianne encounters Luke Wright once again, almost a year after she returned home. She meets the man in the local marketplace, newly settled, fumbling and confused. Although her opinion of him remains ambivalent at best, she reluctantly offers help, especially after seeing him stumble on his Gaelic more times than she deems acceptable, and becomes a start. Not to a close friendship by any means, but perhaps something akin to it. And on better days, when vitriol and scathing words don't get in the way, there's only pleasant companionship one offers to the other. Casual visits to the other's home, sharing a bottle of wine or two, and simply talking about anything under the sun. A comfort after the things they no longer have. Something they both eventually learn to appreciate with time. Despite making the Ireland branch of her interior design company her focus now, Marianne continues to cater to her most avid patrons in Luxbourne when requested. And after her work on the Ermengarde Mansion, Hannah Evans has never trusted another to handle the design for any of the places she owns. Upon moving back to Evans Mansion after her divorce, Marianne's name is the first thing she calls, and the woman is quick to fly back to the city at the socialite's summons. Not only helping with the decorations of the old place, but also assisting with the renovations, much to Hannah's delight. But even after the project has been wrapped up months later, the renowned designer remains a constant presence around the businesswoman. And, as with everything that goes in the city, this does not escape notice of people who has kept a constant eye on the heiress. The rumoured couple has kept mum about it, but anyone who sees them together won't deny seeing a different spark in both women's eyes. With help from family and friends, Zachary Steele is soon able to open a photography studio of his own, something he has only dreamed of having as a child. Although he still hopes to get back to making indie films someday, client work and small projects has kept him mostly busy. Hectic as it may be, he can only be glad for the amount of work pouring in. It has made moving on from the incident in the Ermengarde Mansion easier, if not faster. Even with his success, he still hasn't forgotten what he's lost during that time. But while there are still nightmares, with support from his family, his doctor, and his own drive, the dark images have finally turned into pleasant dreams. He's aware he won't ever truly forget, but he's no longer running away. At times, when he's not busy or after a hard day's work, he thinks there's another story for the big screen to be told in that. An idea he may soon turn into reality once his time affords it. With her newfound courage, Isabella Santos finally chooses to pursue what she really wants for herself. Having made enough to keep her family afloat for a few years, and with their blessing, she quits her job at Briar Realty Corporation and takes the scholarship offer from the local university. Though remarkably out of practice, and unsure if she'll be able to keep up by the time she returns to university, she finds her feet soon enough, with help from people close to her. And with her confidence and her skills growing, so did the number of people recognizing her and her work. It doesn't take long for several award-giving bodies to take notice of her. For all her accomplishments, however, she has never truly forgotten what happened at the Ermengarde Mansion, nor what she has lost. The images still remain in her, and on particularly unpleasant nights, terrors continue to visit her dreams. She knows those won't ever disappear from her life. It's become part of her in the same way death has permanently taken from her. However, she's no longer afraid, and with a brave face she carries on, earnestly wishing that someday she'll be able to paint brighter, more vivid thoughts on her canvas. An honest portrayal of life and hope amidst the fear. More than a year later, once everything in their respective lives have settled, Zachary Steele and Isabella Santos finally hold their first exhibit together. A project that has been in the making for almost 2 years after the photographer casually brought it up to the other artist. While merely intended as a small event, it has been surprisingly attended by several members of Luxbourne's upper class and art enthusiasts. Although only a few of the pieces have been meant for sale, the show has brought prominence to Zachary and Isabella's names in the city art scene. It has since been followed by several other exhibits by the two, both in and out of the city. Currently, they are planning to hold their first show overseas. Yet, even with this unexpected, overwhelming fame, friendship between the two has remained strong. Theirs, after all, is a bond that goes beyond being mere partners in a small project. He's her family, as much as she is his. Following a success in bringing the Luxbourne firm case to a close, Ashton Frey receives a recommendation for transfer to Luxbourne's lead agency against organised crimes. An endorsement eagerly backed by the newly appointed successor to the late Chief Inspector Lee, Abigail Harris. Knowing he'll have more resources, leeway, and a bigger chance at ultimately bringing Luke Wright to justice, Ashton Frey accepts. He still warns the people close to him against Wright and his associates, but only a friendly reminder now, more than anything. Though he does worry, he believes they are wise enough to know who, what they are doing, and trusts their judgment. For now he has decided to leave the evidence and the law to speak for itself, and take care of the man once the proper time comes. Nowadays, police work and operations keep him busy, sometimes taking him away from the city he grew up in for days on end. A rare thing for him to enjoy once upon a time, yet this time he never loses his drive, simply growing more determined after having finally found a clear purpose close to the rush and excitement he dreamed of as a child. Although Ashton still keeps mum about specific details of his work, his experience with the curse has slowly taught him how to open up, especially to those who he knows that genuinely care for him. He still has a long way to go, he knows that, but for the sake of the people who are still with him, those who have chosen to stay, as well as what he's lost, he hopes that there will come a day when he no longer has to hide behind his own lies, a day when he is no longer afraid of facing the truth in his own words. Things have never been the same for Zachary Steele and Ashton Frey. An argument ensues between the two shortly after they've been released from the Ermengarde Memorial Hospital. Although the whys are vague, and both have been tight-lipped about the matter after the fight has been broken off, with the room evident only from bits of conversation bystanders have heard. Perhaps it's even an old grievance they've been holding against each other, only aggravated by whatever horrific things they've both gone through inside the mansion. Whatever the reasons, the two men have kept a considerable distance from each other since then. Ashton gives the man a wide berth when encountered in a public space. Zach simply avoids places the detective frequents. People who know them have simply assumed the spat will resolve itself in due time. But for the two of them, the way things have panned out, in due time may never even come to pass. Between the lingering trauma and their measly attempts at normalcy, it takes a few months for the awkwardness to finally lift for both Ashton Frey and Isabella Santos, of several weeks trying to find their voice and remembering how to act around each other, despite enduring affections. But once the unease fades, there's only their usual banter and rapport to fall back on, the casual talk and the friendly jibes. And for the both of them, it's easy, like breathing, like coming home after another journey, a comfort, in spite of the things they've gone through. Their days may still be filled with petty arguments and light teasing, but in the aftermath, when all has been said and done, something constant has already been forged between them. A quiet, steadfast thing they can both hold on to as they both carry on. And that's it! That is the letter, oh my god. That has been quite the story. I really enjoyed playing through this. There were a couple of spelling mistakes, even in the epilogue there I was reading, but you know, I managed to get through. I hope I didn't stumble too much. This is my first time I've been reading a visual novel on like a video, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I know a lot of people have finished the story like months ago, and it took me so long to get to this point. But I really wanted to just take it in and enjoy it. I loved all the characters, but you gotta know my favorite's Luke. Like, the guy is just complex, he's funny, he's got the coolest accent, and he's just overall badass. Like, he's a scumbag though, and I hate him, but also I'm intrigued by him, you know? Isabella's a sweetheart, Hannah's a sweetheart, Rebecca was cool. I'm so sad I couldn't save her. I can't believe I made such a stupid decision. You never go upwards in a horror movie, ever. It only leads to death by falling. So that was on me, and I really wish she could have been there at the end for them. Quite surprising that Zach and Ashton had a falling out. I guess my relationship with the two of them was not as high as it could have been. I did sort of give them grief a little bit towards the end there, but hey, at least they're alive, right? Hannah and Luke divorcing was also quite sad for me, but again, that was a choice I made, so I only have myself to blame for that. I'm glad that they managed to patch things up, sort of, like it was an amicable divorce. Luke just like rolled over and took it, because he knew he deserved it, I guess. And yeah, in his chapter we find out that he actually was like meddling with illegal stuff, and Ashton was right all along about him. So yeah. Anyway, thanks guys so much for joining me. I hope that you continue to watch some other series I put out. I'm looking for similar games, something close to this maybe, like another visual novel perhaps, or just any other story game that you guys are interested in. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this series and what you'd like me to explore. I definitely had fun doing the voices and reading through everything like that. So, and I love games like this where choices actually do matter. I did look at the tree, like I've already seen what kind of branches there were as soon as I finish this. I'm going to watch other videos of different choices, and from what I've seen and heard, like, these guys have done crazy work on this game, like 700,000 words total. It's a struggle for me to get to 50,000 back before when I was doing like National Novel Writing Method and all that. I don't know how these guys managed to pull it off, but like props to them, man. Yang Yang Mobile, well done. Excellent work. I love the artwork. Just, yeah, this was just an amazing experience, and I got it like with a reasonable price on the Steam store. So hey, if you guys want to explore your own stories or anything like that, if you have different choices than I do, either watch it on YouTube or definitely play the game yourself. It is quite a treat. Anyway, that's it from me, guys. As I said, let me know in the comments what you want to see next. If you have any feedback for me next time I do a visual novel, maybe like the way I voice things or read things out, let me know, and I will take it into consideration as we continue our journey. Thanks, guys. Take care. Goodbye.